Hello,
Ah, you
dears.
again, dear.
Is there something you want to say?
Ma'am, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Of course, traveler. Yes, I know who you are. Miss Kamisato has told me about you. What would you like to know?
How are the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato these days?
Oh, they're both very well indeed. Lately, Miss Kamisato has been rather busy attending all kinds of meetings and occasionally paying visits to some local organizations on the Commissioner's behalf. As for the Commissioner himself, well, you know, busy as ever. That much hasn't changed. Although he does seem to be in a rather good mood these days.
But why?
So pretty much business as usual in the Yashiro Commission, huh?
Except that Ayato is happier than normal?
Very much so.
Is there some sort of trigger for that? Ayato is still the Yashiro Commissioner, and Ayaka is still the lady of the house. No changes there. As far as I can see, nothing's changed in the Yashiro Commission either. I was expecting as much, but it's still a big relief to know that the Kamisato siblings are both safe and well.
Got any more questions?
That's all for now. Many thanks.
You're very welcome. In fact, I would love nothing more than for you to come and visit more often.
Why?
But I'm sure you must be far too busy to have time for that.
Is that for you, or are you concerned about the health of your charges, Ayato and Ayaka, and therefore you want the traveler around because she's a friend?
Miss Kamisato
Yeah.
talks about you all the time. She seems so thrilled to have you as a friend, and she's always saying how talented you are and how much she admires you.
They're really setting up the relationship between the traveler and Ayaka, aren't they?
I must say, many things in Inazuma seem to have taken a turn for the better.
You mean people aren't
since
dying for their
you
visions?
arrived
Yeah,
here.
I think it has.
So you're not just Miss Kamisato's knight in shining armor, you know. You're a hero to us all.
Strange that you would use that phrase, knight in shining armor, when that wouldn't be a phrase used in Inazuma because you don't wear shining armor. You wear leather armor, as far as I'm aware. That would be more of a Mondstadtian phrase. Awkward. I'm flattered.
I mean it. Whenever the commissioner dines at home, Toma always joins him. I always find myself at my most relaxed when I'm serving the two of them and listening to them chat away.
I thought Toma served Ayaka.
The commissioner has such a
Maybe I was
busy
wrong.
schedule that he doesn't always have the chance to take his meals at home. But given the opportunity, he always prefers to dine here. They say it's because Toma's a much better chef than most. Oh, the commissioner is so fond of home comforts. They get to talking about you sometimes too, you know. Always with a very fond tone. The way one would talk about dear old friends around whom one can truly be themselves.
Just as a note, old people don't always talk slowly, game. My grandmother, to be fair, she was from Northern Ireland, so yeah, she spoke really fast. So, you know, you don't always have to have old people talking really slowly and really dragging out the conversation. They can speak quickly too, you know.
Miss Kamisato occasionally joins them as well. Whenever the whole family gets together and they start talking.
Okay, you're killing me.
it's been
Hurry up.
Many years
Da, da, da,
as
da, da,
someone
ba,
who
ba, ba,
is
ba, ba,
old and
ba.
gray. So, in the future, if you ever do have
Thank
the
you very much. I'll
time,
visit again.
wonderful.
Hi,
I
Mom.
cannot put up with the slow talking.
Also, you were saying something about the food here being really great.
No, she was saying something about Toma cooking really nice food.
Paimon's itching to try it. We may just have to invite ourselves around for dinner sometime. Paimon
Why is that
meant
chick staring at me?
We should come pay a visit again real soon. Ideally around dinner time.
Of course. You're always welcome.
Alright, goodbye for now. Where are we going next?
Tatarasuna.
Great! Goodbye, ma'am! Don't worry, we'll see ourselves out.
All right, then.
So Tatarasuna should still be fixed from when we did
Are you
it.
two leaving already?
Because we fixed the furnace.
Yep,
Permanently.
everything's taken care of now. Don't worry.
Very well. Safe travels. Goodbye.
What would happen if you hadn't done the Tatarasuna questline? Maybe the Archon quest wouldn't proc for you unless you'd done the Tatarasuna questline? Maybe? I don't know. Food for thought. Food for thought. God, it's been ages since we've been here. Although normally we go that way, to the house, to speak to the dude. Yeah, he must have been from Fontaine, now that I think about it. I don't remember him too well. It's been a long time since I did the Tatarasuna stupid time-gated quest line. Xavier! It's you!
Here we are. But what are we looking for? Something or someone?
We're looking for the gentleman right here. Wait, do you not know Xavier?
Do my eyes deceive
I know,
me, or is
he does
that the
not.
traveler in Paimon?
Xavier? What are you doing here?
Xavier! Okay. Is that how the name's meant to be pronounced? Really? I mean, looking at the letters, I can understand it, but cool. Never heard it pronounced that way before.
I was in the general area, and now I'm in this specific area. There, that's
Wait,
me.
he wasn't
So what
voiced,
about you
right?
two?
Hold on, Tatarasuna wasn't voiced. It was an unvoiced questline, wasn't it? That's why it's the first time I'm hearing his voice, his name pronounced, and the first time I'm hearing his voice, I suspect. That wasn't voiced, was it? Guys, help me out.
We have some questions and thought you might be able to help.
Do you know much about Tatarasuna? What kind of a question is that?
Certainly do. I've researched the furnace here in some depth.
Oh, I know. You've told me about it.
If there's anything you want to know, just ask away.
This is really awkward. How well do you understand the history of this area? This is also really awkward. I mean, maybe if you hadn't done these quest lines, this would make sense, though him knowing you doesn't make sense, but this is real awkward.
Like the back of my hand. Make no mistake, I have been here a good many times before. Not only that, but I've met people in Inazuma whose families used to live in Tatarasuna years ago. They said it's all true, the history here.
Go on, I'm listening.
Oh, well, it's a long story, don't you know? The tale of Tatarasuna starts a long time ago. I'm told that its history is one of the most foremost forging and smelting operations in the nation, goes back around 1,000 years. Still, the furnace has had a couple of serious maintenance issues along the way.
Oh, we know.
A couple? When exactly?
One was just in the last few years, the other was several hundred years ago. A fun fact, I'm not the first Fontaine tech guy to come and work on it either. There was a guy back then too.
Ah, which is news to us, because we didn't know about, Escher's... I'm just gonna call him Eldatori, because I don't actually remember his name. I think it was Escher, but Eldatori's presence. So, Scaramouche has changed something in that his identity as a Fontainian at least has been remembered in time.
They say he was
Through
a
time.
mechanic who consulted on a technology upgrade. It seems like the technological collaboration between our two nations goes back a long way. How about that?
Oh, but he doesn't know that Ildatore was the one who corrupted Tatarasuna. Interesting. Mechanica, looks like Ildatore still sabotaged the furnace, leading to all the ensuing chaos.
Hey, weren't you gonna ask Xavier something about Tatarasuna? Come on, ask already.
I am.
Oh, I didn't realize you two were here for a history lesson.
I love history. Ancient, preferably.
Me neither. Paimon doesn't know what's gotten into this one today. Feels like we've been preparing for a history exam or something.
What brought this on? Did you just wake up today with a sudden burning desire for historical knowledge?
Pretty much. So can I ask one more question?
Sure, go ahead.
Wait, I thought you said this was a long story. You summed it up in less than a minute. Have you ever heard of a kabuki mono connected to Tatarasuna?
A kabuki mono? No, I can't say that I have. I do know the word, Inazuman for those eccentric types who always go around dressed to the nines. Just the sort of person that I'd like to meet, actually. But sadly, I've never had the pleasure, nor have I come across anything to do with a kabuki mono where Tatara Suna is concerned.
What about the swordsman? So there's no more Kabukimono. Did the balladeer really manage to erase himself from history completely? If so, he must have wanted to change the world and revert everything back to the way it was. But so far, it looks like the majority of changes have only affected himself. Thank you. Savi... I don't know how to pronounce
Of
it.
course! Don't mention it.
Xavier?
Oh, we're leaving? Okay, bye, Xavier.
Oh, you're most welcome. More than happy to help. Farewell.
Bye-bye now. That's also really awkward if you've never done the
Looks like you
Tatsuna
got all
quest
the
line.
information you're looking for.
I mean, did I? Time to get back and see Laszlo personality. Jesus, that was the briefest trip to
Sure,
Inazuma
but-
ever.
What's up with you today? Whatever it is, it seems like it's really troubling you. Keep your smile, Spinal Crocodile. No matter what happens, Paimon will always be there for you.
Haven't you heard? Never smile at a crocodile, Paimon. Alright.
Come on, you gotta keep it together. Why don't you grab something to eat?
Life is
You
always
can't go
about the
facing
food
life's
with you.
challenges on an empty stomach.
Certainly can. Watch me.
All right, let's head off and go meet Nahida.
God, it's such a long distance to travel for such a brief moment. Jesus. Not for me, but for them. The Kabuki Mono's finale. Oh, we even make it in.
Hey, it's them.
Hi. Oh, how would our conversation have changed?
Akaba, Sawada, you're still here?
Are you still talking about the essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
It's the same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Still looking for more info about Tatara Suna, huh? Should we join them?
Perfect. These two have researched Tatara Suna's past. Let's see what they have to say.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real
Ugh.
progress.
The article that you let me read last time was great. Can I read it again?
Of course.
Oh, you freaking suck. I hate you. A brief analysis of possible events of historical importance in the Tatara Suna area. Details. This text belongs to a series of works sponsored by the Bahamuna's Veil Cutter Project. It is yet to be numbered. Author, Akaba. Abstract. The Tatara Suna area has always been a major pillar of Inazuma's smithing industry. 2 incidents have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, that there might be a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, as people attempt to analyze it, may have unfolded from the available data. Okay, so far it's all the same, as far as I can tell. Glossary. Tatara Suna area, Raiden Gokuden, Mikoshi Nagamasa. Okay, we're already missing names. We're missing the Kabuki Mono facadas. Interesting though, did we previously have Niwa under glossary? I don't remember. Introduction. This paper continues and expands the work of my mentor, Mr. Rumi, in his report on happily hidden tales of Tatara Suna, and is intended to further this avenue of research. According to the data, the blade forging techniques of Inazuma, yes, I'm reading through it really quickly, were originally handed down from the Electro Archon, also known as the Roden Shogun. Using the arts they inherited from their Archon, the people of Inazuma devoted themselves to the process of forging. However, strange rumors that do not quite fit the steely nature of metalwork, that sounds new, yet linger about Tatara Suna's smelting center, which was a center pillar of the forging industry. There, the Mikoshi and Niwa clans, along with an eccentric mechanic from abroad, serve as the 3 windows of insight we need to investigate the truth behind what happened. See, previously, it wasn't the eccentric mechanic, it was the Kabuki Mono. Okay, strange notes. Forges blades, session with the stain of the name Mikoshi must eat him. I don't know about that one, but that one's the same. Certain number of journalists, just goes, yep, same. Yep, this is all the same. It is Mother Chio, but then they kept saying that it was his father, something Chio. I'm so confused. But anyway, that's all the same. That's the same. Regardless, what used to be, this is the part I'm supposed to get to, but anyway, regardless, what used to be an area, God, that yellow is blinding, of major industry remains a place most inhospitable, and residents of Tatarasuna may be found living and dwelling by the waters. The residents, when questioned, told the researchers of Tatarasuna's golden age centuries ago, but it was administered by the Armory Officer Niwa, Vice Armory Officer Miyazaki, and Inspector Mikoshi Nagamasa. Yet, the elders among the locals with deeper ties to the region also seemed to stress the fact that there were strange rumours surrounding their homeland's past. A great many of these rumours have revolved around the yokai, who are very okay, this is all the same. Okay, a foreign mechanic once visited Tatarasuna. Reportedly, the reason for his immigration was to exchange knowledge and forge ties with the locals. However, the mechanic seemed to behave suspiciously, often wandering around essential or restricted areas. And if someone tried to turn him away, they would only earn incomprehensible mumbles from his lips. The mechanic often stared into the furnace, seemingly to check on its condition. Unsettlingly, he also spent a substantial amount of time watching the local residents. Residents. They're trying to insinuate that this yellow is the only part that's changed, but other parts have changed up top. Judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places such as Tatarasuna. However, travelling across the tides, foreign experts being welcome in the region was likely not unreasonable either. Yet calamity came not long after this exchange of knowledge, which hints at higher potential for causation between these events. However, some current residents believe that these assumptions were merely the results of their forebears' overactive imaginations, attempting to theorize how things actually unfolded. Niwa. His eventual whereabouts are unknown, but he was suspected to have left Tatarasuna with his family following the incident. Oh, so he didn't die. Interesting. Miyazaki. Doesn't say what happened to Miyazaki though. Mikoshi? However, after that famous blade was forged, she used it to slay a subordinate. Okay, so Katsuragi is still slain. The mechanic. Long have I delved through many texts and documents, but I was ultimately unable to decipher even a spectre of a clue as to his background. Still, mentions of the mechanic grew scarcer in the aftermath of the Tatarasuna incident. I speculate that, instead of the mechanic possibly being a figure woven from overripe imaginations, he actually did exist, and perhaps even had a hand in the events that took place in Tatarasuna. It seems the rest of the paper remains unfinished. One thing's for sure, there's a full put into it.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well.
Sweet baby Jesus, no. That's Miyazaki's conversation is the same. Okay, so yeah, this yellow is the first new part. Miyazaki hid his grin. Upon hearing this, Niwa released the lizard from his hand into Katsuragi's palm. But just as more words were to be exchanged, someone came walking nearby, their footsteps steady and confident. Oh, this is the really awkward exchange from the previous one I didn't understand. The head that appeared by the door was that of one from abroad, no longer the glistening head of some bald dude with a round head. The newcomer placed some lunchboxes to one side. Unless they were referencing the hat of the wanderer, I'm so confused. Newcomer placed some lunchboxes to one side, nodded, and made to leave. Katsuragi called after him. Sir, what about your meal? Are you not hungry? I already ate. I hope you'll also trying to set your hunger soon. See, help with traveling matters fills me with embarrassment, sincerity, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to assume that's all the same. Like a falling spear, the black cloud reached the bottom of the boat and was joined in its bereftness of direction. Like a charging beast, they plunged into the shoreline. Scant steps away, the mechanic laughed, slowly approaching the grand wreck. Not but half an arm was left of the one who had cried out for help, and with a plop it landed at the mechanic's feet, who crouched about to study the object, straining against the urge to take a bite. Yet he did not. Okay, so the only thing different is that it's the mechanic. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third and fourth. That's the same. each of who left to seek salvation did so under foul skies and bleak fortunes. Reason dictated that they should not have risked anyone else, but the situation in Tatarasuna was severe. They needed to gain aid from Inazuma, even should it cost them more lives. Okay. The content has changed. Another effect of tampering with the information in Irminsul. The Balladeer said he'd erased 2 of his names. If he really succeeded, it must have taken all of his might. But still.
Well, what do you think?
A masterpiece.
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how he wished he could gather more information about all this? Well, we just got back from Inazuma. So how about we tell them what we learned?
Sure.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and...
You tell the 2 writers what you learned about the history of Raiden Gokuden and Tatsumana's history.
So many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
I still think you should have asked the 2 of the people who were alive at the time, even if they themselves weren't directly involved in this conflict. It took place between, major parties of Inazuma at the time.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge. Huh. You heard this from a member of the Amanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here after all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis. Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly prestigious role in society those days, to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
Yes, okay, point taken.
Hello,
You were
bird.
right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
And they're back at it. These guys are really into this.
I've got some things to take care of. Bye for now.
Oh, so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you.
Hashtag
Thank you
priorities.
so much for the information.
Welcome.
You're welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Absolutely.
Will do.
Naida. You're not... She didn't remember Great Lord Rukadvara, so will she remember the Balladeer? No, I can't pick a name to call him. Balladeer, Wanderer, Scaramouche. I bloody call him everything.
Nahida, we're here! Traveler, Paimon, how have you been? Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time. That night, we ended up chatting and chatting until suddenly the sun was up. And then she decided she wanted to go to Inazuma.
I was investigating a situation with the Balladeer,
The Balladeer?
so she doesn't remember either.
It sounds like some kind of code name.
Oh no.
You look troubled. Is there something you need to tell me?
So the only reason that the Traveller remembers all these people who have been erased from history, is it because she's not part of this world? It seems like a bit of a stretch, but it would make sense that that's the connection they're trying to make. Even Nahida doesn't remember. Just like last time, any changes to Irminsul affect her as well. So that must mean that Illatore will not remember the Balladeer. The Balladeer acted quickly. He finished erasing himself before Nahida could stop him. I'm the only one who still remembers the things that were erased. Once again, I am the record keeper. Well, yeah, I mean, up until Inazuma, things happened around you. You weren't really that instrumental in literally doing anything. Inazuma's the first time that, you stood up for the Vision Hunt Decree, kind of. And then here in Samara City, you literally saved the city. I mean, they could have done it without you. But you were kind of instrumental in making things happen.
Traveler? Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There are things that have happened that only I can remember. I have to tell you the truth. Don't tell her about Great Lord Rukadvara. With a heavy heart, you pieced back together the story that was broken and scattered across time. Which one? There was once one named the Balladeer, who created by the Electro Archon. He was a puppet who lived among men. After a series of events in Tatarasuna, the Balladeer, thinking he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to roam the world beyond. With no trust for humans and only loathing for the gods, he bore his grudge for years as he grew in strength, then returned to Inazuma to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become a deity with Gnosis and ended up losing everything. Finally, he entered Irminsul and finally learned the truth of his... Whoopsies, there's no finally there. Finally is at the beginning of the sentence. And learned the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing now that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable in an attempt to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Balladeer erased himself from Irminsul, hoping that he could change the past. But how was he even able to do that? As the Traveler said, he very nearly became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it. Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality. So, you believe this person really existed, and we just don't remember him because he literally changed the world?
Well, yes, for 2 reasons, Paimon. Nahida has no reason to believe that the Traveler would lie to her, especially about something so far-fetched as this. And 2, Nahida is aware of the capabilities of Irminsul.
Yes. Theoretically speaking, it is possible to do this. But I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it.
Ooh, now I'm seeing comparisons between Scaramouche and Rukkhadevata. They have a similar type of personality.
The Traveler comes from a world beyond Javat. That's why there's no information
Selflessness
about her
in that instance is what I'm referring to.
And it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect her.
Yeah, that's what I said, except she said it better than I did. But Rukkhadevata did it for others, and Scaramouche also did it for others. He didn't do it for himself. It's probably the first non-self-serving thing he's done in his life.
So if there's anyone
He did it for
in the
Niwa
world
specifically.
capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you. It's quite incredible when you think about it.
You can say that again.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding this Balladeer guy's motivations. Why did he do it? I can only make inferences based on the information we've been given. As for what kind of person he was, only you remember that.
I'm really not sure. Well, I am. He did it to save someone he, well, loved. Platonically as family, but still, he loved Niwa, and that's why the betrayal hit so hard. Well, the seeming betrayal. So he wanted to go back and save Niwa. Who knows if he succeeded at that. But how do we re-meet Scaramouche? Because if he becomes part of your party, not through the quest, but pulling him. But you get what I mean, like, it's possible for him to be in the Traveler's party. So how do we re-meet him? We were enemies after all. I don't know his perspective on all this, so I can't see why he did something so extreme. Do you want to reset everything? Or save someone? Or did he want to completely undo his existence? He's not that self-loathing. He did it for Niwa. Everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all. Maybe that's all there is to it. I still remember the question he asked. He asked me specifically, and my hesitation gave him his answer. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Rukkhadevata erase her own existence, but I can't now tell Nahida that. To put it another way, I know why the Balladeer was so sure it could work, but I can't tell them that.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
I just feel empty. He chose such a radical option, and yet...
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died, right?
Correct.
Once the Balladeer realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. This story makes sense. Every part of it. The Balladeer tried to achieve godhood with the Doctor's help. He was unsuccessful, but retained the power to connect with Irminsul. That power then enabled him to change what was recorded in Irminsul and erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left. Yeah, it does make sense, but it still ended in tragedy for his friends. It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
Yeah, he changed the world in many ways, and yet the dead still didn't get a second chance. Those fated to a tragic end could not be saved. Yeah, but his heart, non-existent as it is a little lighter. What exactly did he want to fight back against? The betrayals in his life, or did he wish he'd never existed at all?
Please wait a moment. I want to check something.
Okay. Is she trying to feel for the balladeer?
Found it. This should be the one.
Hello. What is this?
It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything she has told us.
Oh, I'm so for it. But Nahida, hold up. I can hear some really soft singing in the background. I wish it were. I mean, to be fair, we're in a cutscene, so I don't want my music too loud like it has been on occasion, but I kind of want this to be a little louder. It feels like it's a Sanctuary of Surastana backing track. I'd like it to be louder. And it's gone.
What is it? A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a corner. You should take a look.
Okay. Surprisingly, the information is presented to you in a way that resembles a fairy tale.
Is this a fairy tale? Who wrote it?
This matches everything I said.
I authored this record myself. Huh? You wrote a fairy tale that somehow has something to do with the balladeer?
Music's back.
When combined with the traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else. Hold on. So this record survived from the past?
Did it survive because it wasn't a direct reference? It was merely drawing upon inspiration of the fairy tale, of the events into a fairy tale?
Yes. Any information about the balladeer or the kabuki mono in other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact.
Because it avoided direct references.
Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that. But Irminsul can't change information that was well hidden in advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the balladeer entered Irminsul. That's incredible! What a great idea!
How convenient.
And sending the traveler into Irminsul with the balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew she'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul. But if we connect all the different pieces together, the true story that emerges is the one she told us. The now erased life of the balladeer. There was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends. The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own. Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water. I am a monstrosity, yet they are too foolish to see it. I pity them. But the monster soon found solace when another came to live among the foxes who was not their kin. A kitten, carved from the wood of a white tree who had been abandoned by the humans. The kitten too wished to become a fox, but its tail was too slender and it could not grow a coat of richly colored fur. Yet when the other foxes saw this, they spoke words of comfort to the kitten. Even without a tail and fur like ours, you are still one of us. Furious at this happy resolution, the monster lit a fire on the mountain. The terrified animals panicked as the fire spread. The only way to extinguish the flames was to make a sacrifice. A gray fox stood up and addressed the monster. It said, "You are the cleverest among us. Surely you can help us find a way to solve this." The monster smiled, led the fox toward the fire, and murdered it. The gray fox's heart was turned into a beautiful drop of water, clear, spotless, and pure. The monster gave the heart of water to the kitten, telling him, "The foxes have decided. You are the one who must be sacrificed. Take this, quench the flames, and die for your fox kin." The fire was extinguished, but the kitten lived. It left that side of the mountain and found a little bird who had a broken wing. two promised they would spend their whole lives together, but the little bird did not have long left to live. It passed away soon after. After burying the bird, the kitten left the mountain for good.
So we're saying that Niwa survived going into the corrupt Tatarasuna with Scaramouche, and they fixed it and they left together, but Niwa was too weak from having been part of the corruption, and he died. I like how the cat... Oh, hold on.
Never
Oh, wait.
again would it cherish a single creature, nor a single blade of grass that stood on that mountain. The kitten spent the nights wandering aimlessly, gnashing its teeth at the moon.
I like that it has the same makeup as Scaramouche, the red outline on the corners there. I'm assuming that's also part of his outfit, but this is what I distinctly remember from his appearance.
How it wished to swallow the moon and devour the moonlight. If the world could only return to darkness, then it would finally be peaceful and content. I will become the new moon, the answer to everything. Then, no one will know that there were once birds, foxes, and cats in this world. And no one can know that they were different. We solved it! I remember now. This is not just the Balladeer story. It is his very own memories. I made a backup so that it would be preserved no matter what happened. To become a god, he was experimented on and modified countless times. It was brutal torture, and the only reason he was able to survive is that he was a puppet. This memory was extracted from him by the scholars. Presumably, they kept it to have something to defend themselves with. Creating a deity was just the first step. Some of them wanted to be able to control it. That's why they backed up his memory for later use. I buried it deep inside one of my own dreams, and then hid it inside an allegorical story so that it wouldn't be altered. It's hard to believe that this person really existed, let alone that he tried to get rid of us on more than one occasion.
I understand what Nahida is saying and the lengths she went to preserve any memory of the Balladeer. But why would she have gone to that extent? We've never told her about Greater Lord Rukkhadevata erasing herself from history via the Irminsul, so she has no reason to even think that this is a possibility. So why did she go through all this trouble, which is a lot of trouble, to have created this backup in the event that something went wrong? It seems like a big stretch when she didn't know that such a thing was possible.
Paimon has no memory of him at all. He completely vanished like a puff of smoke. The Balladeer agreed to help me look for information about the Descenders, and although he was unsuccessful, he still helped you. Before he vanished, he confirmed an important detail, that Conria was where your twin first came into this world.
I mean, didn't we already know that, or is that just something we assumed? I mean, the assumption was pretty strong that I took it for fact.
We still don't know how the change to Irminsul will affect the senior ranks of the Fatui, but in all likelihood, they won't even remember their own Harbinger.
So that means there's one fewer Harbinger than they think. How many were there? But 13 or something, and now there's only 12? I don't remember. 13 just seems like a good number. I don't remember how many there were. Interesting. I've never had this feeling before. It feels like life is as insignificant as a feather.
It sounds like Paimon wouldn't like this guy a whole lot
Yeah.
if he was still around. But still, Paimon doesn't like the way it all ended that much better. This is why wisdom alone cannot answer all our questions. We look, we see, and we comprehend, but the question still troubles us. So the answer is not everything. People yearn to find the truth and then conquer the troubles they face. When you give someone the truth, you give them a chance to choose their own destiny.
Agreed. That's why I find truth vastly important, because with the truth, you make choices. Without the truth, you are unable to make choices for yourself. Others make them for you.
To others looking on, this may seem like a pointless endeavor, but for him, the chance to act on his desire to disappear must have meant a lot. Never forget that even when we walk beneath dark clouds along a road filled with suffering, the light of wisdom is always there, guiding us toward a better destination.
And that is what you have been doing all along.
Yeah, Mahita's right. Cheer up. How about we go get something to eat? We can pick up this heavy conversation again later.
You know what the Balladeer needs? He needs a hug. Can we please find him and hug him? He needs some love in his life.
Good idea.
Some affection.
Paimon, why don't you take her out for a walk to clear her head?
But how do we meet him again?
You got
Where?
it. Come
When?
on, traveler. You need to get out of your
Swear to
head for a
God, if we
while.
don't stumble
You'll
across
feel
him at the end
much
of the
better
story,
after taking a walk.
I'm gonna call shenanigans.